I'd like to give you a little bit of background about myself. I was born at Leamington District Memorial Hospital some years ago. We'll leave it like that. I grew up in the hamlet of Ruthven. My parents owned the Ruthven General Store there. So I had the opportunity of growing up in a small, tight-knit community and made some lifelong friends along the way. Ken and I moved away for school. We moved back knowing we needed to come back to raise our family in this area. And we came back and we live in Kingsville. We had our two children, Janine and Emily, Leamington District Memorial Hospital. And I have to say, in that length of time, even when I was younger, and it started to change when I had the girls, but it was sort of the fact that if you lived in the county, especially our end of the county, you went to Leamington Hospital for everything. It didn't matter what. If you were sent to one of the Windsor hospitals, boy, you must be sick. You better start calling the family because you needed a specialist. And that was just kind of the mentality at that time. And so when I had the girls, it was starting to shift, and people were starting to understand that we need one another. And we're going to skip along to, I really didn't need a lot of medical care for many years, little things, nothing much, until December of 2012. And in December of 2012, I was diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer. And so my doctor told me immediately, we need to get you care, and we need to get you care right away. So I found myself now in the system of the Windsor hospitals, which had really never happened to me before. And I want to start by saying I received incredible care, really. I received wonderful, wonderful care right from the get-go. I had my surgery at what was then Hotel du Grace, because the merge hadn't happened yet. And I mean, it was evident at that time that there were constraints in space and what they could do for us, because my family really couldn't be with me. I had day surgery, and they had to sort of be in one waiting area while I was in another waiting area, and it was just a constraint of space. Excellent care. I had my chemotherapy at our cancer center, and exactly halfway through my cancer treatments, I found out that I was one of the 290 patients that received underdosed chemotherapy. Now, that was a very hard blow. It really was. But thanks to the fact that we have David Moucher as our president, CEO of our Windsor hospitals, this is how I got through that situation, is the care, the consideration of David and his team made it so that we could understand what happened. It was a transparent process, and he got us through it. And I have to say that it wasn't an issue of, say, our hospital systems as it stands. But I will say, when Dr. Devlin came from Humber River a few weeks ago, one of the things that he mentioned in his state-of-the-art hospital is that the chemotherapy is mixed by robots. And at first I thought, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. And then I got thinking about it again. A robot can't just look at it and say, yep, it says it's the right thing, let's give it. It has to weigh it. It has to go through other checks and processes. So a safety issue would probably be less likely to happen in those sorts of circumstances. So that's another plus that I was looking at that time. But really, one of the biggest eye-openers, and I should say again, the care that I have received is outstanding in our hospital system. And I have had an opportunity since. I sit as a patient advocate at the hospital and the cancer center. And one of the biggest eye-openers that I had was I sat on an SOP process. I was in meds fluids. So I was to be the patient in the room discussing what is the best way on the floors to dispense medications. So we were taken onto the floors at both facilities, the OLET and MET campuses. And on the OLET camp, one of the floors on the OLET campus, there were about 8 of us, and when we got off the elevator, it was evident there wasn't a place for us to stand as a group. There isn't enough room. There wasn't enough room there were patients in the hallways, they were in their wheelchairs, there's equipment in the hallways, and they're trying to get around, and there's people walking with their poles and their IVs, and we were in the way, just standing there to observe. There's just not enough room. Then towards the end of our visit, and actually the reason why we were there and we were watching is all of that equipment that was now around the room was in this closeted area where now is where the pill counting machines are. So they had to move all that stuff out in order to make room for that. And there's just constraints, so there just isn't anything they can do about it. But near the end of our visit, down the hallway came the trash receptacle. And here's this great big thing that they had to push down the hallway, gathering up all the trash bags and I said, what is going on? Why would this happen? There's no other way. There's no other way. So I think back on when Dr. Devlin was here, and he was mentioning, and one of the biggest things was that the trash in his facility never enters the hallway, neither does any of the linens. It all gets into a chute sent down to the facility without it ever crossing in front of patients or where people are. It's just an outstanding system, and when you think about it, what it can do to make infection control and just a whole bunch of other issues just kind of go away. So I'd like to conclude by saying I wasn't able to be here when all of you discussed and voted on supporting the levy. I was at home and I was watching it. I was very proud to say that I watched all of you wonderful people vote and support and be unanimous in your supporting, because we really do need this new facility. And you can tell, just like these wonderful people behind me who are spearheading this project and watching that we have all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed, as well as you. And they're thinking about us as the community, and so are you. And I'm very, very happy that you have supported that. I'm happy to be here tonight when you're having your discussion about how we go about our portion of the levy. But there is no doubt that we need this new hospital system. We need this in place for all of us who, well, we're going to get up there a little bit, and by the time that it's here, I guess I can say I'll probably need to be going again. But I want to say thank you very, very much for your support and your sight and ability to see that this is a very important thing for our community and a very much needed thing for our community. So thank you very much.